Okay, everyone see this all right? Perfect. So I'm going to draw the stick person diagram here, the secret genie. This is the magical little genie. All right. So this is the mind. We'll let the mind, everyone see that right? Sorry, I've got a bit of reflection. There we go. So there's two parts to your mind. There's the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, and the body. The conscious mind is the thinking mind. This is where we consciously think or entertain ideas. The subconscious mind is known as the emotional mind. And then we have the body. The mind controls the body. Now, the knowing-doing gap is the gap between what you know and what you do, and it's caused by the paradigm. The paradigms sit in the subconscious mind, okay? This is where 96 to 98% of all of your results come. So how you earn money, your relationships, your company, your use of time, that's another paradigm, your effectiveness, your logic, your productivity are all a product of what's going on in the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is influenced by the conscious mind here. So consciously, we say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to earn more money, or I'm going to, grow this business, or I'm going to run a marathon. But subconsciously, we don't have the paradigm that's in harmony with that. We have an old paradigm. We have an old self-image paradigm that limits what we actually can physically manifest as results. So it doesn't matter that we gather the information, that we take the course, we execute the marketing strategy. We need to be building the paradigms, the self-image paradigm, that's a match for the results we want to create. And so as we begin to do that, our results will begin to change. So our results are a product of the subconscious mind. And if there is a gap, then we're going to keep creating the results we always have. And those results, so when we begin to think about and we begin to build the new paradigms, which we have to consciously use the conscious mind. So your reasoning faculty, your ability to think, you've got to focus, those affirmations, the writing, really, really focus the conscious mind so that we influence the subconscious mind and we install that new paradigm, we install that new programming that says, whatever the results are that you want to create. It could be a health goal, it could be a personal goal, it could be a business goal. We have to literally install that paradigm in the subconscious mind. So then we begin to express it in vibration. Every thought has a corresponding feeling, vibration, frequency attached to it. We know that. We can measure the color and density of the energy leaving the human body. And as the thoughts begin to change, as we imagine and think new thoughts, that color and density changes. So our vibration is impacted now by this flow of new energy over and over again. And that action reaction, if you think about it, with your environment, the cause and effect, law of cause and effect produces this new result by law. This is why we don't have to worry or doubt. Worry or doubt is the opposite of faith-based in understanding. When we gather knowledge at a conscious level, we're going to look at that in the terror barrier in a minute. I hope that this rubs off. We're going to look at that. So worry, fear, and doubt is the opposite side of knowledge, faith, and well-being. Two sides of the terror barrier, lesson 7. So as we come to understand this, and we really understand and not only consciously understand this, but subconsciously apply it and see and get that feedback in real time, we come to really have faith. We don't need to see the physical results manifesting because we know by law that they will and they are. We're only concerned about what we're consciously focusing our attention on, because we know that what we consciously focus our attention on, and we have to be disciplined with that. Why do we have to be disciplined with that? Because we are such a creature of habit. We are programmed to live how we're living, and it's not that easy to break out of that because we hit the terror barrier. We have the old self-image and the new self-image, and it clashes, right? So if the subconscious mind is responsible for 96 to 98% of how we're operating, every element, and I mean every element, like it was a paradigm shift when I used to, in 2018, up until 2018, the only way you could join a program with me was if you did a discovery call. There were no prices on the website. There were no online enrollment forms. You had to do a discovery call. We had to tell you the price on that call. We had to take your credit card details on that call, because that was the paradigm that I had built. That was the sales paradigm. That was also the self-image that I had. So when I decided that I wanted to change that people could click and pay, that they didn't have to do a call, they could feel attracted and buy. Oh, did that happen overnight? Absolutely not. I had to build a new paradigm for that. I also had to upgrade my self-image. I had to believe that it was possible, that there were people that would do that it was easy for them to do that. They were like me, that they did just want to, like, I would prefer to just click and pay. Sometimes I get on, but like once you know, you know. So this had to become a new paradigm, because the one that I was operating with was still giving me those results. Did it happen overnight? No, but I kept doing it. And so I kept focusing on what do I want to see? And I started to build that new paradigm at a subconscious level that began to express the vibration of believing and expecting. So now when I was selling or doing a webinar or a presentation, there was a congruent vibration expressing itself that led to new results. There was congruent. It was all sinking in. What I was thinking, what I really believed in my paradigm, what my action and body was expressing, and then the results were showing up. So the paradigm literally is influencing every area of your life, personally and professionally. It's the same. The conscious mind is responsible for 2 to 4% of your results. So it didn't matter that I began to think something different about my sales or selling or how we enroll clients in this program. There was still an old paradigm at play. So we weren't. There were months where there were no sales. And it would have been so easy to go back to, we'll just do a whole bunch of discovery calls. But if I did that, so it was really scary. I was in conflict. I was in the terror barrier, building this new paradigm, building this new operating system, trying to close the knowing doing gap. I knew it was possible because there were plenty of people that were doing it. I knew what to do, but I had to close that gap. I had to change the paradigm so that I began expressing that vibration, so that as I was consciously taking the action and doing the presentations or whatever it was here, putting in place, that it was congruent, that the paradigm was there, the vibration was there, and it started to show up in results. Does that make sense? Anyone got a question on this real quick around your particular situation? Let me know, or wave at me on the screen if you do. Happy for me to keep going? Yeah, okay, great. So the knowing doing gap, right? There's a gap between what you know and what you do, and it's because of the paradigm. We are programmed to live how we're living. So we have to begin to tell ourselves the new story of what it is that we want to create. Now, to do that, we have to block out outside conditions and circumstances. So you have the news coming at you. You have opinions. You have your own thoughts that are counterproductive, that are a product of the paradigm. So the paradigm just keeps feeding you, all of this rubbish. And you're thinking at that level. And so we enter it. So what we have to do is we have to take the goal, right? What it is that you really, 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 really want. Now, you might still not be clear on that at the moment, but that's okay. You might just have more of a vision of the improvements, of the changes that you want to make. But we begin to saturate the conscious mind. And the beautiful thing about what you're doing with TIR is every single day you've got a structure and a framework to begin to really focus the conscious mind, to get it off autopilot. Because see, being a pilot, like we first have to put the coordinates in before we hit autopilot, correct? Right? So we have to know where we're going. We've got to have that destination. We've got to have a vision of, okay, what does this day look like? Where are we going? What's the weather? And we decide before we hit the autopilot. If we haven't given it a destination, the autopilot's not going to work. It's going to take us to the last programmed coordinates in that GPS. It's exactly the same for your mind. The goal setting is the conscious mind. The goal achieving is the subconscious mind. And unless you update those coordinates, you're going to keep getting the same results. So think of your self-image. I think this is a really good way of thinking about it, is your subconscious mind here is like your autopilot. If you program it with what you want, it'll give it to you. And it will go along and it'll achieve those results with less and less effort on your part. But in the beginning, we've got to make the effort to get the programming right. We've got to make the effort to build the programs of the results that we want to create over here. And that's what I'm teaching you to do, right? Day by day, week by week, that's what I'm helping you to do, showing you how to do, empowering you to do that. So you begin to set the coordinates of where you want to go and the sort of results that you want to do. And that is the work of the conscious mind. Then we begin to get involved with repetition, and we are now starting to work with the autopilot, the automatic goal achieving part of our mind, the subconscious mind. In lesson 6, Maxwell Maltz, Psycho-Cybernetics, this book here, it's a great one to have on the shelf. Very, very, very deep, but I would add that to your library at some point, Psycho-Cybernetics. It's a very deep dive into lesson 6. You don't need that book. Everything that I need you to understand is in the self-image lesson of TIR, but that's a good one to have. So if we don't update this subconscious mind, the paradigms here, ultimately our self-image, because all of the little paradigms that we have come together to form a self-image paradigm. Now, when we want to achieve something beyond what we've done before, which we should, because that is growth, and we are violating the law of the universe if we're not deciding to do better and bigger every day, contrary to popular belief out there, that your life becomes easier, you become happier, you have a greater sense of well-being when you are moving in a direction you've never been before. So get used to that. Get used to that, because that's what I want you to do forever. You got to stretch yourself. You got to always be stepping out of your comfort zone. Okay. But if you don't upgrade this old self-image, that is where the autopilot is going to take you, which is why a month, 2 months, 3 months, perhaps even before you got into this program, you're making little advances, but nothing was, I'm not saying nothing because I don't know everyone's exact situation, but chances are year on, year out, it's the same or similar results. The old conditioning is where we end up. Now, your mind is just doing what it's programmed to do. It really is. It's saying, there's an image there. I'll take you to that image. So this is why it doesn't matter here. It's, are you getting involved with enough repetition in the right way that you're beginning to reprogram the subconscious mind with this new image that the autopilot mechanism works off? And that's what we're doing to close the knowing doing gap. Rightio? Okay. So let's now talk about what happens when we hit the terror barrier. Now, unfortunately, I still only have black, but I think only black comes up on the screen. So let's talk about what happens when we go to step out and act on this. Now we hit the terror barrier. So there are 4 stages in the psychological process of growth. If you turn to chapter 7 of your participants guide, it's such a powerful lesson. And have a look here. Let's turn to page, quick question. Simone, do you have a PDF copy of the participants guide on your laptop?
I'll find it.
Great.
Yep.
Can you tag Craig
Yep.
on it, either in the Facebook group or email it to him, please?
Yep. I'll do that now.
Because he doesn't have his guide yet. Paula Rucker as well, if she's on today's call. They don't have their welcome packs yet. Okay, so if you turn to, let's go to page 104, because this gives a really, really good picture of the terror barrier. So the first stage is bondage. At a conscious level, we're thinking the thoughts that we've always thought. Subconscious level, the paradigms are just doing their thing every day. At a physical level, we're taking the same sort of action. We're behaving in a new way. We're producing the same results over and over again. Everyone see that? Yep. So then we get to reason. So reason is the second stage in the psychological process of growth. Reason is where we think, I've got a new idea, a Y-type idea. and we think, I'm gonna do something different with my life, or we're going to achieve a new result in our company, or we're going to do this. It could be a little Y-type idea, it could be a big Y-type idea. And so we entertain the idea of doing something different. I'm going to do this, we're going to do this, let's go for this. This is such a great idea, right? So we start to entertain an idea. But at this stage, we haven't acted on it. We haven't really thought about, building any new paradigms or doing anything significant. It's just an idea at this point in our conscious mind. So we reason with it. Then we think, all right, I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to make a committed decision. I'm going to act on a bit like what Craig did. We're going to invest money into that project. We're going to buy that house. We're going to sell. We're going to go for it. Now we are engaged with engaging the subconscious mind, the emotional part of our mind. We've made a decision and we've acted on it, because ultimately our behavior is a product of the subconscious mind. That makes sense? It's really important. Behavior doesn't come from the conscious mind. Behavior is a product of the subconscious mind. So then we say, I'm going to act on this. I'm going to do it. I'm going to make a shift. And we go to take some sort of new behavior, or we go to act on it. And then we hit conflict. So conflict is where we have two competing vibrations. We have the energy of the Y-type idea, the new thought, the new image, the new goal. But we also have the X-type idea, the old conditioning, the old self-image. I feel like Brendan's like, I cannot see that, Karen, and I'm in cinematography and you need a better setup. Is that what you're thinking, Brendan? Yeah, I thought so. I'll bring that a little bit closer. At a subconscious level, we still have the old self-image, right? We still have this old self-image paradigm. So now, I don't know if you can see this. We have the X and the Y, two competing energies, right? And this is conflict. So we have conflict going on. We want to take the action. We're trying to take the action, but the old self-image is going, oh, hang on a second. Whoa, slow down. You're freaking me out here. And we're actually causing a physiological reaction in the central nervous system when we do that. We're in conflict. It feels uncomfortable. We feel sick. We feel scary. It's not a logical move for us. Remember, one of the areas of your life that paradigms influence is logic. So when we go to do something illogical, we're acting out of harmony of our X-type conditioning, which is our old self-image, right? You will want to study this lesson forever. We'll put it in the Facebook group for you and you can watch this over again and follow it through in your guide. So now we have two competing ideas. We have the image of the goal in our subconscious mind. We've got excited by it. We're emotionally involved. We're going to invest the money in this project. Yes, let's do it. And then you have the old paradigm or the old self-image that goes, well, hang on a second. Let's just think about this. Have we weighed up all the options? Are you sure you know what you're doing? Is it the right time? What about the economy? Interest rates are going up. And so there's this conflict. You want to go for it. You want to back yourself, but then there's this old self-image. And so what happens is you start to express an XY vibration physically. You feel that. You feel it in your body. You feel when you're in the terror barrier at a conscious level, you've got worry and doubt. At a subconscious level, you feel the fear. And in your body, you feel anxious. It's anxiety. It's two competing vibrations, two competing energies. What you want and where you are now. 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 And it's this sort of, and that's why you get stuck. That's why the paradigm doesn't change, because if you don't understand this, what will happen is you go back to bondage. So if you have a look, if you actually turn back to page 103 is a good description of it. You hit the invisible terror barrier wall and you go back to bondage, and you let go of the idea, you let go of the dream, you say, well, put that project on the shelf, and you go back to X-type thoughts, no new conscious thoughts, no new changes in the subconscious mind, no, you don't build it in your paradigms, no new action, so you let the current results perpetuate. And because of that, we think, well, that's good, we'll just sit there for a moment, but now there's no growth. And the law of vibration decrees that we're either in a state of growing or disintegration. And if we're not growing, working on a bigger idea, stretching ourselves, deciding to get better every day, we're violating the law and ultimately we lose. How does that physically manifest? Well, it could be lost business, lost sales, lost clients, a disintegration of health, just not feeling as good on a day-to-day basis, all of those different things. So we have to make sure we're in a state of growth. So what do we have to do? When we understand this, we have to understand this process. That's the only thing that's going to get you through it. Because now you understand it, you can start to go, oh, right, I see what's happening in myself, or I can see what's manifesting in my team or in my company. And then you become a more effective leader, being able to move people through it. Your own personal leadership, you're able to sustain yourself, stay in control and crash through the terror barrier. And now you've made a little paradigm shift. Every time we shift a paradigm, we have to confront the terror barrier. Have you realized that already? Making a paradigm shift also means you have to be moving through. And so if it's an idea further away from your current reality, the terror barrier is going to feel bigger. If it's an idea that isn't so far away from your current reality, if we think about levels of vibration. So if you're just moving on an idea here and you're here, well, it won't be a very big, you'll still probably feel a little bit of the terror barrier, but you can sort of navigate that. But, really your C-type goal is up here. So as we start to make moves, our degree of ability to conquer the terror barrier will be directly proportionate to our understanding of it. Our understanding of what's going on and the process of turning thoughts into things. Who's got a question about the terror barrier? Anyone got a question on the terror barrier? When we do break through it, we're with freedom. So we have mastered our mind in that moment. There's 7 levels of mastery that we look at, and the highest level is 7 levels of awareness, sorry. And the highest level is mastery, where you are completely in control of thinking and acting how you want to, as opposed to thinking and acting in harmony with the paradigm. So, this work is not for lightweights, but it gets results because we're being really disciplined here, and it changes companies and corporations and families and your own personal life, because you're being so much more in control of really creating the results that you want. And now you're no longer confused or stressed or worried or overwhelmed about how to create what you want. You're completely in control of bringing everything into a better order. The conscious mind, the subconscious mind, the physical body, getting it all lined up to express the new vibration, the new level of awareness. You're expressing that new level of awareness. You're expressing it, and that causes a reaction with your environment as your energy, as your ideas, as your action is having an impact on the physical environment. It's producing a reaction, the law of cause and effect. This is science. You begin to produce those new results. But if you're always looking here, you're feeding your conscious mind with what is. So you just begin to manifest more of what is, more of what is. You react to you react to a problem or a challenge. You feed that in, more of what is. So the discipline is in being able to use our mental faculties, exercise our mental faculties. So everything we're doing here over a decent period of time, 6 months, and most of you have extended once or twice, is bringing this into a more orderly way. We've got to close that knowing doing gap, and we've got to be able to conquer the terror barrier. 2 absolutely key things. And it will show up in varying degrees depending on, what idea we're moving on next. So that's it. Oh, I love that, Marianne. This is the best explanation yet. That's so good. Amazing. All right, who's got a question on this, on closing the knowing doing gap or the terror barrier so far? Oh, that's good. Okay, so Marianne says, I'm going through this again right now, and a decision to move forward instead of stalling, delaying has just been, and I feel quite sick. Yeah, so you've made the decision, Marianne, by the sounds of it. Where's she on the screen? Yeah, she's not on camera. Yeah, so that's right. So because you've now made the decision to act on it, you're in conflict. And that's why you feel sick. Does it mean that it's manifested, does it mean that you've created the new results? No, but you've made the decision now. So you're experiencing that conflict. And that is actually a physiological reaction. It's because the central nervous system now has two competing ideas. It has the old self-image or the old results, and it has the new self-image and the new results. And so we're taking action from the new self-image because we see the new results and we know that this is the decision or the action or the next move we have to make. And that causes that physiological reaction in the central nervous system, which gives us that feeling of, I feel sick, or I feel scared, or I feel worried. So we need to go into it knowing that if we're following this process and we're strengthening our understanding of what we're doing, then we feel the fear, we feel sick, but we do it anyway, because we know that that's where the new results can be born from. The new results can't be born from where we are now. So we've got to be willing to make those moves. A lot of people go sideways with this. They avoid the decision. They sideways, backwards, like trying, hoping that that's how they get the better. You've got to just crash through that terror barrier and go for it. Sean says, oh, I reckon you've answered it. That's good. Yeah. The logic is a huge, look, the more you study this, the more you go through this, the better you will get at conquering the terror barrier, and you'll do it faster. So you won't procrastinate as long. You'll do it much faster in a more orderly way, and you'll stay more calm with it. I'm always still making decisions to, which is necessary, right? Because I've got a new C-type goal. But what I find now is that it doesn't destabilize me like it used to. I still have all of those feelings that you might be describing, but I'm able to very quickly see them for what they are, a product of the old conditioning, lock down on my goal, my new self-image, where I'm going, follow the TIR process. I use it every day, just like you do. And I don't lose much momentum when I hit the terror barrier. And that's the big deal. If we stay in conflict for too long, or we bounce back to bondage, that you lose momentum when you do that. So this is why, this community for you guys is so powerful, because you can be in the terror barrier, you can be swept up in the energy, and that just helps you keep moving forward. And I can see Paul going like this. Yes, you just you don't lose the momentum of manifesting, and you don't lose the momentum of thinking, feeling, and acting, because your environment is, let's face it, most people are not thinking. Most people are letting circumstances influence them. And then if you're not careful, they're going to try to offload that paradigm onto you. And that paradigm is a product of all of that outside. So it's just this perpetual cycle that you never get out of until you're in an environment like this. And it doesn't matter how good it is. That we can really master this even better than we have yesterday. We can become more in control of closing that knowing doing gap, of making that paradigm shift, like get that old one out of there and put the new one in. We want to shift it. We want to push out all the old, by saturating it with the new. And then we begin to express that in our vibration, in our level of awareness. So it's not only what I'm saying, it's how I'm thinking and how I'm feeling, which is a product of the paradigm that begins to produce my results. And that's why you can become more effective and more productive and achieve a hell of a lot more with less effort when you really understand this process.